everyone, it's Meredith, and I want you to mark two very important dates on your calendar and memorize them. The first is February 11th, 2023, and the second one is 3/23/23. And I'm not making this up, but those are two very, very prominent, powerful, kind of atomic bomb days for us. And it's when the tide is massively shifting. This is my next video in my Pluto series. The first date that I gave you, February 11th, 2023, is when Pluto moves into the 29th degree of Capricorn again. This is a time when there could be massive, massive change. The 29th degree is the perilous degree. It is a time when we stand or when we're being asked to deal with crisis. I want to ask you a couple of things. Do you have a planet at the 29th degree in your own chart? If you do, you want to listen to this in relationship to your own planet at the 29th degree, because it is in aspect exact with this Pluto. So February 11th, 2023, your 29 degree planet, whatever it is, Sun, Moon, Mercury, doesn't matter, is going to be in crisis conversation with Pluto. And then on 3/23/2023, so March 23rd, 2023, I'm not making it up and I'm not even a numerologist, but that's just the truth. That's when we get liberated from Pluto being in Capricorn at the 29th degree and Pluto moves into 0 degrees Aquarius. This is no small change. So in today's video, I'm going to take you through these Pluto transits through the houses. So what I want you to do is look and see where you have 27, 28, 29 degrees Capricorn in your chart, because that's where Pluto is sitting. And that's where Pluto is going to dance in your life. And that is the theme that is going to play out between now and March 23rd. And on February 11th, you might feel it in its last gasp for air. The 29th degree is literally like before the energy goes out. Okay, let's talk about this. My cats are loving this video, and we are going to do a little bit of a Pluto deep dive. So I want you guys to get out your gorgeous natal charts, and if you don't have one, you can buy one at my shop. They are absolutely exquisite. I designed them myself. You can get one from the shop tab at soulnavigation.com. So I want you to look for those late degrees of Capricorn and those very early degrees of Aquarius, 27, 28, especially 29, and then 0 degrees Aquarius, and that could straddle 2 different houses, or that could be in the same house. If you've got Pluto anywhere near the ascendant or in the first house, this is a massive, massive transformation for you. This is a time when you might feel that there is an awareness, a higher sense of an awareness around the occult, or also around the subjects of death and loss, the esoteric questions about the essence of your soul. You might even become more psychically aware, and you might also start to feel a major shift in a very profound way at the forefront of your life that comes through cataclysmic changes in your life. So this is not subtle. This is a very intense and a very serious. It can even be a brooding and dark time in your life. It can be when you attract power struggles, where you either have to forcefully stand up for your own self against the bullies and the tyrannical people in your life, or in systems, government systems, people who are trying to dominate you. You have to stand up and use your power, or this is a time when you can lose complete power. And I hope that's not the case with you. This transit gives you an opportunity, truthfully, in the highest sense, in the best sense, to find your own power and to become your most powerful self, if it doesn't swallow you up first. This is a time when Pluto is on the ascendant or in your first house, where you will have to work harder to become optimistic, to keep your faith and to stay hopeful, and even to keep the joy and the glee at the forefront of your life. You might feel like the world is too hard or too dark, too gruesome, too difficult, too challenging. And this is a time when I want you to really try to work hard to stave off depression. So if you're feeling heavy, if you're feeling blue, if you're feeling like nothing's working solution out for you. If you're feeling stuck or trapped and you've got Pluto on the ascendant or Pluto in the first house and there's a melancholy to your life, it's supposed to be that way. And use that melancholy as a tool to just go in deeper to find the truth about yourself, about life, about the afterlife, everything important in your life, including your body. This can feel like it's very severe and very intense because in truth, what it literally means is a death and a rebirth of yourself, of who you are. So your physicality may change dramatically. Your face might undergo a physical change. Your physical being and your essence can actually have a massive change. It could be something like a woman who has had beautiful brown hair her whole life now decides to go all gray and people don't recognize her. It could be something as little as that. It can also be a time in your life where you feel like your body, maybe it's lost its power a little bit or it's lost its vitality, because there can be a real lethargy and a real heaviness with this transit. I want to tell you it's not forever, but I kind of want you to harness this power and use this transformative power to make positive transformations in your body, in your soul, and in yourself. If you have those late degrees of Capricorn and the first degrees of Aquarius in your second house, you probably are a Sagittarius rising. It's not perfect because I don't know what time you were born. But when Pluto transits your second house, I want you to think about this is your finances. This is a money house, but this is also a self-esteem house, and this is a house of security and resources. I want you to think also a little bit more broadly about this house. This is a house of confidence, self-worth, okay? So that is coming to the forefront of your life. Now, remember, when Pluto hits that 29th degree, it is when crisis comes. So I'm kind of teaching you how to survive this Pluto at 29 degrees and how to survive these last degrees of Pluto in Capricorn and how to make the most of it. So if it's in your second house, this is when your self-esteem might come into question, where you might feel insecure. You might have to face a financial loss of some sort. So right now, it would be wise to not make radical or risky investments. If you do want to make an investment, make it right this minute. Do not wait. Do it before September 2022, so you're not doing it also when Mercury's in retrograde. But you can actually feel like you've been tripped up. You can lose a job. You can lose money in your 401k. You can lose a house. You might have to foreclose. This could bring on a bankruptcy. I want you to figure out what you need in your life to feel secure and safe. And then I kind of want you to play small ball until we get to March 23rd, 2023 with your money. I want you to kind of hold on tight. Now, I don't want you to be, a miser and cling, but I want you to make really good business decisions and run your financial decisions through wiser people than you, okay? Get an advisor. This is a time to eliminate waste in your life. That's really what it is. So it's less about holding on so tightly to your money, and it's more about eliminating the financial drain suckers, the things that just make you bleed money. Get rid of those things if you can. And invest in things that make you feel good about yourself, that bring you self-confidence. Invest in education or anything that is of genuine value to you. This is the time to get rid of waste and frivolity. How they say in politics, drain the swamp. Drain the swamp of what is sort of stealing your self-esteem, your self-worth, your confidence, draining your resources, your financial resources. There is a death and a rebirth. So this is also a good time for you to quit that job that doesn't pay you enough so you can find a job that pays you your true worth. This is a time for you to show the world your true value. Now, you're going to be challenged when it hits the 29th degree, but I want you to survive this transit by really knowing your worth and asking for it, asking for a raise right now, again, before Mercury goes into retrograde in September. There's also a big psychological aspect to this, and that is reframing your concept of money, getting rid of any envy or jealousy that you have for other people's money or other people's resources, and really try to work on envy. Okay, the other thing I want to tell you is you need kind of a new paradigm shift around what money does for you, what money actually means, what role money has played in your life, because I'm telling you, there is going to be a major shift around finances for you. This isn't an easy placement because this comes to you through a challenge, but you can end up far more powerful. This is a very karmic placement. Pluto is a karmic planet. There's a lot of karma here with money. So if you hold on too tight to it, if you're too much of a miser, then you just create that misery. I want you to develop a belief system that there is enough for you. And also you are enough. You are enough. If Pluto has negative aspects to Venus especially, but also to the sun in transit. So if you've got Venus or the sun in those late degrees of Cancer or Aries or Libra, this can be a little bit harder for you, but I want you to know that you can generate a new source of income. You can reinvent your income. You can plant the seeds in your investments as long as they are wise, not too greedy, not too risky. Play it safe. Remember, the second house is Taurus's native house. And so this is like, go with caution and let's wait until it moves into your third house before we take wild risks. Okay. So play it safe. If Pluto is transiting your second house, I want you to think of yourself as a powerhouse in kind of a quiet way, attracting money to you. And I want you to restore your belief in being able to attract your rightful amount of money. Do ritual work on it, right? Meditate, do your dream work around planting the seeds in your mind to manifest your rightful amount of money with kindness, with gratitude, with graciousness. If you have probably Scorpio rising, you most likely have Pluto in Capricorn in your third house, which is the house of the mind and communication. And this can land a couple of ways. On the high side, you can become a very powerful powerhouse communicator. But remember, there's a tear down and a rebuild always with Pluto. So something kind of goes wrong and it's out of the rubble, out of the ash that the phoenix rises. It's out of the rubble that we rebuild or reconstruct this part of our lives. So wherever Pluto is, it is going to frickin' challenge you, especially at that 29th degree. This can be somebody who has just been stuck in a sort of mental misery, only complains or only sees the dark side or only sees the negative, mentally getting really stuck in the negative part of life. Also feeling like if I don't get my way, I will die. Also being kind of domineering. And I will say this is a manipulative placement, manipulating other people with their thoughts, their ideas, their words, and being a little cunning and crafty, and also being kind of secretive. So if you have this, I just want you to take an honest look around how are you communicating? Are you communicating in your truth, or are you being a bit of a trickster? And I say that lovingly because we all like having our way. If you have this in your own natal chart, I want you to ask those questions too. So don't just listen to the transit here. Listen to the part of the video where you have this placement in your natal chart too. This is you needing to sort of get a new kind of perspective over your mind and the words that you use, changing the way that you think and the way that you speak and the way that you connect and communicate with other people is absolutely critical. I want to ask you, are you sometimes off-putting in the way that you deliver your message? Do you feel like, gosh, I didn't intend that. I don't know why everybody's so offended. That's what Pluto in the third house can feel like. I mean, my God, that would hurt to be misunderstood as somebody who is mean or not kind or not nice. This is kind of the resting bitch face placement, if you will. If you want to be admired and you want to be charming, but that doesn't seem to be the energy that's creative, it might be because you're wrestling with Pluto here. Transform the way that you learn and really go deep into understanding body language, the power of energy filling up the words that you choose, and choose your words so carefully because it's like you have a knife as your communication tool. And a knife is a wonderful thing because it's a tool. If we're on a desert island, we get to bring 5 things, we're probably bringing a knife, but it's also a weapon. So I want you to use it as a tool. You can get stuck in your moods. And I know this isn't even a mood house, but this is a mind house. And so you can be easily offended and you can be on defense. And I want you to really transform your outlook on life right now. Your outlook about other people. I want you to really work on your perception. I'll just use my brother. This is my oldest younger brother. He's a Cancer. He's a very strong person. He has Mars in the first house in Aries, but he's a Pisces rising. And sometimes the way that he communicates with me is just so direct. I feel sometimes just bulldozed or taken aback, shell-shocked, right? Then I remember, this is my brother and he adores me. He actually does. He loves me. He would take a bullet for me, maybe, probably. I know that the way he delivered his message when that happens is literally not what he really feels or intends. And so I forgive him for that. But the world is not so kind like that, right? They take you at face value. They take you for what you delivered. And what I'm saying is I want you to ask yourself if you could phrase things differently to create the kind of energy and the kind of connection with other people in a more meaningful, kind, and a little bit softer way. And if you have this Pluto in a hard aspect, basically, to Libra, Cancer, or Aries in those late degrees with Mars or Saturn, you probably don't even realize how harsh you come across. And so I'm just asking you to reevaluate that part so you can really step into becoming the profound communicator that spirit, that the universe, that your karmic contract is asking of you at this time. Okay, let's talk about when Pluto transits the 4th house. Okay, this is no small placement. First, I want to tell you this is a very psychic placement, and this is probably the most psychic placement for Pluto. If you've got Pluto transiting the 4th house, you might have Libra rising. You could also have Scorpio rising, but you might have Libra rising. It depends on the house system and it depends what day of the month you were born. This has to do with your family. You are going to step into a big psychic awareness when Pluto transits the 4th house. You might see your dreams shift and you might even be able to actually step into the power of making those dreams come true because you might be having premonitions. This is a time when your dreams really do speak to you. Now, I'm going to tell you, there's going to be probably major transformational changes with your family. So some of your family may be leaving you. You may be leaving your family. You may be leaving the nest. This might be a time when, I don't know, your parents move out of the childhood home and they go get a condo or assisted living. But there could be really emotional challenges with your family right now. This is a moody house. You could have a really hard time controlling your feelings, controlling your emotions, especially upset, devastation, disappointments, and you could even feel like going into just a full-blown rage, just pissed off. This could lead to problems within your own family, or your home. I want you to try to glean a new perspective. You might find out secrets about your family, secrets about yourself, secrets about your birth, secrets about your early childhood, and you might uncover secrets within your home. This is kind of a good time to change your concept of home, and I would say to even purchase a new home, a new way of living, a new life, a new place to live. And this is a very, very, very deep placement. This is digging down into the core of you and asking yourself, wow, is this really how I want to live in my space? What I would suggest is take this energy to create a space that supports you emotionally. That might mean buying a new home. Just don't buy a money pit. Again, get advice. Wherever your Pluto transit is, there is somebody out there who probably can advise you so you make stronger, better decisions that support your highest good. If transiting Pluto is in hard aspect to your Saturn or your Uranus or your moon, this is very, very challenging. And those hard aspects come in through Aries, Cancer, or Libra. So if you have those late degrees of Aries, Libra, or Cancer between 27 degrees and 0 degrees Aquarius, this is tough. This placement can really hurt. You can have deep, deep family losses with this. But in the transformation, you can also mend old wounds and you can, like the phoenix will rise, right? You can really heal old wounds too. Probably after you go through the loss, then you start the healing process. But this can set you up for the rest of your life, especially if you make a good investment in a brand new home. Okay, so the 5th house, this is about creativity, self-expression, joy, happiness, playfulness, and this is also about your children. So the best things that could happen is you could literally have an experience of like transcendental creativity. I think of Frida Kahlo when I think of this aspect. Not that she necessarily had Pluto here, but her work was so dark. It was literally channeled, I think, from a higher octave or from the cosmos, if you will. And it was dark. It was hard to look at, but it was her total self-expression on the canvas. So this can be a massively creative time, and it can be like a dark creative time, like a dark comedy, right? You could really get massively obsessive about your creative pursuits, which would be really cool. However, this can also be quite stifling, where you feel like you don't have time for love, you don't have time for intimacy. It might be a time when you're either really highly sexual and making some bad or frivolous decisions around your sexual expression and your sexuality, or this can be a time when you even cut yourself off from your sexuality or sexual expression. This can be a time when your sexuality changes, like you're no longer attracted to what you once were attracted to. So there could be a giant shift in your sexual attractions. And this can also be a time when you reject intimacy, when you reject sex, when you reject love, when you reject joy, or you just feel like your life is just a big boring drudgery. So I want you to be careful about also attracting lovers that are just not good for you, or that get obsessed with you or stalk you or make you feel afraid. The other thing is that this could be a direct statement about your children. Your children could become unusually creative under this aspect that you take a great amount of pride in. You really need to give your children the room to find their creativity right now. This is a time when your relationship with your child might change. Maybe you have another child, and so your only child now has a sibling, and that takes an adjustment. Or your child leaves the house, or your child, now you're in a divorce and you only have your child half of the time. So this can create some pain around the change that's going on with your children. But I'm telling you, there is a silver lining. You can deepen your relationship with your child too, as long as you don't come across too controlling. If you have hard aspects to Venus, this is usually a little bit tougher, or the sun. If you have positive aspects, if this late Capricorn degree is in positive aspect to your sun or to your Venus, it's a little bit easier to manifest the higher octave of this transit. But I want you to also realize that you're supposed to have a paradigm shift around what does it mean to have a fun life? My life is supposed to be fun too. And so to create that joy, and that joy with your children, and usually it's through a creative endeavor. Okay, let's move on to the 6th. Okay, so I've been having this personal transit myself, and you are probably a Leo rising if you have Capricorn in the 6th. Again, it's not always true, but it's most often. And this is your daily routine. This is your health and wellness. This is where your lifestyle and your work, your daily grind, if you will, is going to have a major transformation, or wants to. There's going to be a whole new approach to your job, probably. You might get a new job, you might get fired from your old job, you might reinvent what your job looks like, you might explode. Your job might get bigger, because this usually puts a lot of stress on you when you have Pluto in the 6th. And then that trickles down into your health. So you could really have some major, major changes with your physicality, with your body, with your health, with your wellness. This is a time for you to really pay close attention to preventative medicine. If you don't have any ailments, this is a time to take on preventative wellness. So get your exercise program going. Believe me, you'll need it. Take your vitamins, do your green juices, get your blood work done, get your diagnostics done. Really pay attention to your health. This is a time when you could fall ill. It might be a time when you have surgeries that are important, but they're kind of elective, like knee surgery. And this is a time when you might rehabilitate yourself. I want you to think about making changes in your daily routine to help relieve the exhaustion that you must be feeling. People who have Pluto transiting in the 6th house, I don't think they sleep. I think they work, and work. Yeah, this is a workaholic aspect. And so if you've got this transiting in your 6th house, you probably feel so much responsibility for your work, for your job, for other people. Honestly, you're probably a slave in your own life in some way, a servant and a slave. And you might even become a little bit more organized. But I want you to be helpful to your own self too. One of the things I'm doing is I'm upgrading my bathtub so I can actually use it. I deserve it. I've had this transiting my 6th house for a really long time. I hope that you have Saturn in a happy placement, because if you have Saturn in a happy placement to the late degrees of Capricorn, you'll feel like your hard work pays off. If you have it in square aspect to Saturn, you can feel just the grind, and you might not see the rewards as easily or as quickly. I promise you they're there, but I want you to reevaluate, really, is this that important? I just want to tell you a funny story. So we were having a dinner party and my husband's children were coming over, and he was like, don't worry about it, honey. I'm going to go get Lay's potato chips and Doritos, and they like all that, I don't know, a crock of cheese. And I was like, no way, we can't do that. I have to make a beautiful board, and right, Pluto in the 6th, it's got to be perfect. And he was like, Meredith, don't do all that. Don't do all that. Put that stuff down. Put the china back. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. I want paper plates. You know what we're going to do, honey? We're going to use paper towels for napkins. Yeah. I'm like, no. He's like, yeah, I am giving you a break, and I'm going to get a bowl, and I'm going to dump the chips into the bowl, and I'm going to feed them that. I'm like, oh my God, are we going to buy dip in a jar? He's like, yeah. Because I'm in there like plucking off the fresh basil, chopping it up, making it, And he's like, don't do that. It's not important. And at the end of the night, we had so much fun. We didn't drink wine out of a bottle, but it might have as well have been that. We had so much fun. There was zero prep. I was happier. And I just realized, wow, I don't have to do all that. I don't have to fluff every pillow. And it can create health problems, stress and anxiety and ulcers. I actually got diverticulitis. I can't believe it. Out of the blue. I thought it was a kidney stone, but no, it was a knife right into the side of my stomach. I could not get out of bed. I was like, somebody's trying to kill me. I swear to God, there's like a 20-inch knife in my stomach. He's like, there's nothing there. I'm like, I swear to God, there's something there. I don't make this stuff up. I went and got the CAT scan or whatever it was, and they're like, yep, you have diverticulitis. I don't have it now, but that happened under this. So I want you to know stress is real. You are probably a stressed out lunatic if you have Pluto in the 6th. I know I am. But I love my work. But I will tell you, my work, if you guys have been following me over the last 2 years, has changed dramatically. I've launched this YouTube. I've got a membership program going. By the way, thank you, all my super supporters. I hope you guys are a super supporter. You get so many free perks, and you really get to learn. You get to learn with all my behind the scenes videos, and it's so rewarding. I just absolutely adore you, and I try to answer every single comment from my super supporters, and you get your gorgeous natal chart and your 365-day transit report and your dynamite days. So go click the links below, and you can see everything that you get. But I hope you'll join this community. It's just for a nominal cost, 25 cents a day. I think you can afford it if you really want to study astrology. But I created that program under this, and so that kind of changed everything, and it made me fall in love with my work. So the positive side to this is you can really up the power ante in your daily life or in your daily work. You can really make a powerful and profound difference in your work and in your health. You can become stronger too. Let's move on to the 7th house. The 7th house is about relationships. And if Pluto is here in your 7th house, I'm telling you, you will probably experience power issues, control issues inside your intimate relationships and with people in your life or your business partnerships. You might even become aware of the people that are sort of undermining you. The people that are not really on board will be exposed. The people that sort of don't have your best interest. And you might have some changes inside your relationship or your marriage. You might attract people into your life that don't really serve you or are great pretenders. And so I don't want you to be duped. This is a time when the universe or your karmic contract is asking you to redo your concept of relationships. What's important to you inside your relationships? Do you have commitment issues? Do they have commitment issues? Are you fully committed? Are they really committed to you? This transit can be really hard because it might be that you see your relationships in a brand new way for the very first time, and you might find out really big secrets about your partnerships. So I also want you to look at Mars. If Mars is in negative aspect to the late degrees of Capricorn, then this can really bring a lot of enemies. This can bring a lot of hurts, agonies, losses, and pains with your love partner and with your business partner. I also want to tell you, in the negative aspect, this can bring lawsuits, this can bring divorces, and I want you to basically find the power inside of you to stand up for yourself, stand up for the things that you want inside your relationships. If anybody treats you badly, or if you're in an abusive relationship or a toxic relationship, this is the time to find the power to get out, stand up for yourself, and get far, far, far away from your abuser, please. You might even see that more dangerous or bad or toxic people try to come into your life, or, the vampires, if you will, the ones that just are energy suckers. And I want you to find the power to say no, thank you, and to do your relationships differently, where you're no longer going to be codependent, and that you can see the bad people from far away and you can say, no, thank you, I'm better than that. This is about you claiming your self-worth after all of the negative is exposed, claiming your self-worth around knowing they're really lucky to have you as a partner. I just had this phone call with my mom today, and I said, Mom, if you were involved with me as a romantic partner, would you, in truth, think you got a good deal? And she said, Mary, no, I would not think I got a good deal. I would know I got a great deal. And I said, thank you, because that's who I want to be. I want to be that, and I want people to think that of me too. I want my mom to think that of me, because I want to be that. And so this can really promote in your life better, healthier relationships once you get out of the ones that just don't work for you, don't work with your value system, and don't treat you like you deserve to be treated. And by the way, I have to tell you guys, if you haven't already gotten your solar return report, this is the time to get it. Now, what I want to tell you is your solar return report will show you in a different slice of the pie where Pluto is in your solar return chart. It's going to be different than your progressions and your transits and your natal chart. You're going to see for 1 year where Pluto is in your solar return chart, and those issues are going to play out for that year, and it changes. Your solar return report changes every year, and if you haven't gotten it, it is one of the best reports I have, and it will show you how your year will look from your birthday this year to your birthday next year. And I am telling you, it is jam-packed. I ran my solar return chart for this year, and my jaw was on the floor. Astrology just does not lie. And it really helped me prepare for what to do and what not to do and what was coming up. And my personal report was over 40 pages. I mean, I was just like, well, I don't even have time to read it all. It is so deep. It is so good. It's in my shop. You can just go to soulnavigation.com, click on the shop tab, and just click your solar return report, and we will run it for you. And I run the solar return report for the place that you were born, not the place that you're living. Other astrologers do it differently, but I have found that to be the most accurate. And it will show you where your Pluto emphasis is this year. I'm telling you, it doesn't lie. It's like, whoa, let's go into the 8th house. Okay, this is also a really big placement. This is also a psychic placement. So you might be at this time when Pluto is transiting the 8th house, you might feel like you're really becoming almost obsessed or curious about everything that you cannot see, like death, reincarnation, massage, physiology, the psychology of the self. You might be wanting to psychologically understand yourself and others. You might take up working with tarot cards or astrology, the Enneagram or Myers-Briggs or body language, or anything that shows you the internal motivations of other people. You might see that you have become quite the detective. It's very likely that you're a Gemini rising, and so there's already a curiosity with you. This is a time of deep, deep, deep self-discovery. You're going to actually discover inside of yourself pieces of yourself that have been hidden, pieces of yourself that you have never even known, pieces that you didn't discover. You might even be moved to tears to discover who you really are down deep at the subconscious level. This is a lot of subconscious work. So there's a big psychological aspect. So the psychology of you is really really what this house is about. This house is also about death, sex, and taxes. So if you have hard aspects to the 6th house or the 5th house or even the 1st house with these late Capricorn degrees, I want you to be careful with your sexual partners. Like, have safe sex, because those houses can really bring around a sexual illness or an STD. Be careful. So if you have this Pluto in negative aspect to any planet in your 6th house, your 5th house, or your 1st house, I want you to be really, really careful with your sexuality and your sexual partners. I also want to tell you that this, in a positive way, can create deep discoveries about yourself, deep discoveries about your relationships, your intimate relationships. You can develop an incredible depth around emotional bonds with others. I do want to tell you that you might discover your own inner demons or your partner's inner demons. And I do mean the negative, toxic things that are inside of you that self-sabotage yourself, or the way in which your partnership, your intimate partner, sabotages you. So you can transform your life for the better with this Pluto here, because you can have a greater awareness and a greater understanding about yourself in the world at large, who you are, how you self-destruct, how you self-sabotage, how you hurt other people. You can be so highly aware of the wounds. And this is the house of transformation. So I know that you can transform this. I do want you to be also very careful with your taxes. So you could get an audit under this transit. I want you to be prepared for that. Just pay your taxes. And this can be a time when you possibly receive an inheritance from somebody who passed away. You might have to deal with death of other people. It could be from illness. It could be from a catastrophic event out of your control. I will tell you, you probably are going to have control issues when Pluto transits your 8th house. Like, you don't get to be as in control of your life or another person's life as you would like. An example would be if somebody in your life is faced with dying and they want to leave the earth plane in a way in which you don't want them to go. Maybe they don't want to do the chemotherapy. Maybe they don't want the surgery. Maybe they don't want the best doctor. Maybe they want to not have the assistance of hospice. Maybe they want to die at home rather than in a nursing home where they're at, right? And so you might have to face those really hard decisions. You might have to help somebody pass away. And so this is quite transformative, because this house, more than any other house, can give you the greatest appreciation for life, because it is in contrast to death. And so there could be great losses that create a new life for you, and a new awareness and a new depth. Okay, the 9th house is very interesting house when Pluto transits it. I want you to think about the 9th house as one of the most expansive houses. It's the 2nd largest house. The 12th is the largest. And so I want you to think of expansiveness. Ooh, I just got chills. I want you to think about, this is higher education. This is expanding the mind. This is the philosophical aspect of you, basically your belief systems. What do you believe in? This is the house of, I would say, religion, but I also kind of feel that people who are on my channel have more of a spiritual bent than a religious bent. However, this is religion. If you can't relate to religion, this is sort of like your creed that you live by, the beliefs that you live by, your religious experience to spirit, okay? And so this is going to shift and change. What you believe in is going to expand or change. I also want to tell you, you can kind of become obsessed with getting the answers to the meaning of life, searching for that holy grail, and searching for the holy grail inside yourself. So becoming your better self. And you can become really obsessed with this quest. Think of an obsessive quest. Also, when you have Pluto in the 9th, it is like freedom at all costs. And so because this is Sagittarius's natural house, you probably have Taurus rising. So you're probably a little bit bullheaded, if you will, a little bit stubborn. You can become really obsessed with having your way, and it can be at all costs. And it can be with the intention of good things. However, the delivery can be quite Sagittarius, like a little too self-righteous, a little too bossy, a little bit too into what you believe in, and becoming quite dogmatic. I'm telling you, you you could, and we're seeing this in the United States, you could get indoctrinated into a cult or a religion at this time that doesn't really serve you. Now, let's say it's sort of something that you think is good for you. Well, at this time, so you could have gotten indoctrinated when Pluto was in your 8th house, and now in the 9th house, when Pluto transits your 9th house, you could see the truth about this religious or spiritual or cult that led with a belief system, right? Led with a belief system that you bought into that now no longer serves you and actually sabotages you and hurts you. I also want to say this is global worldwide travel, so travel overseas. I want you to be careful traveling, because with Pluto here, you could attract dangerous situations to yourself, but in a gullible fashion. So you could get into the wrong car, you could sign up for the wrong travel experience. I just want you to be on guard a little bit more. I don't want to make you more paranoid than you already are. The second thing I want to say is that Sagittarius is, like I said, freedom at all costs. And so what are you wanting to get free from? And should you really get free from this thing? Are you just cutting ties because you want to? I'm sure that's not really the truth. I'm sure you think that there is a good reason, but I want you to reevaluate if what you're running away from really deserves that, or if you're self-sabotaging. So if you're leaving, let's say, a job or a relationship or a home or a place that you live, are you really trading it out for something better, or are you just trading it out and you're going to just get a different set of problems? It could just be a different set of problems. It's sort of like, be careful what you wish for. And I also want to say that you can really struggle with legal situations here. And so you can attract litigation into your life. And I don't wish that for anybody, because it's expensive and it's time consuming. As you guys probably know, from, did you see my Johnny Depp Amber Heard predictions video? I can't even believe how accurate I was. I made those predictions before the trial even was over. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. That can really give you overexposure, and it can kind of ruin your public life. I also want to tell you, at this time, you can become too gullible, too optimistic, and believe the wrong people. And I want you to stay real. Stay really real and stay really, really grounded. You probably do need more freedoms in your life. You probably do need a new belief system. You probably do need change and transformation around the things that you believe in. But I just want you to choose wisely. And it's really hard to see straight when Pluto transits this house. The shiny gold ends up being fool's gold with this transit. And I don't want that to happen to you. If you do get into trouble, if you do break the law, if you do go to jail, if you do get caught in your marital affair, or you get caught in a lie, I don't want you to double down if you've got Pluto here, because it's most likely going to backfire on you. Just surrender. Just get into the vulnerability and the humility and the grace of saying, I'm sorry. Getting caught in your lie or admitting the trouble that you're in is a big piece of this house, and a lot of astrologers don't talk about it. But this house needs humility, and Pluto will bring you great humility with this transit. So, I mean, have you ever tried to humble a bull? This is usually Taurus rising. If you're Taurus rising and you have Pluto in your 9th house, I'm telling you, you probably have a lot of pride. If you've ever seen anybody be forced to lose their pride, I don't know about you, but it's an unbearable process for me to watch. It's absolutely unbearable to see somebody's dignity and pride have to leave them. Don't make it worse. Don't make it bigger than it needs to be. Just surrender and invite grace into your heart and get vulnerable, stay real, and be humble. I also guess I want to say, I don't want you to go into massive financial debt around trying to pay for your education. Really try to apply for scholarships if you've got Pluto here. I don't want you to, sign up to be a doctor, to then spend your life savings for this education, for you to then go out and be a doctor that barely makes any money. Not saying doctors barely make any money, but what I'm just saying is, compared to the debt that they accrue, it's really hard to dig out of that hole. So I really want you to look at, study, do what you can, get a scholarship, get support, get financial aid, whatever, but just don't put yourself in massive debt. If you've got Pluto in this 9th house, that can happen. With a new whole concept of what you believe in, you can really improve your life. And on the high side, you can change out what you believe in and what you want to invest in a way that doesn't sabotage yourself, but improves your life in a great way. You can also find the meaning of life with Pluto here too, because it's the great detective as the philosopher in your own life. Okay, with Pluto transiting the 10th house, this is the house of your reputation, of your place in the community or society. This is your legacy, your calling, A lot of astrologers call this your house of career. So you're going to probably experience some power struggles and some struggles within your career right now, especially if you really don't like what you're doing. So if you're not passionate about how you are executing your career, I want to say if you're not on your right career track, this is a time when it could crumble. You could get tyrannical bosses that are squeezing you out, which might be a blessing actually. And so your career or your place in society might dissolve in some way, in a very painful way. You might get fired from a job that you actually did like, but it wasn't the right calling for you deep down at the soul level. And so a change has to be made. So changes might be forced upon you so you can land in a career that is more legacy making, where you can have more reward. And I don't just mean material reward, but I also mean material reward. But I mean, see your value of your contributions to society. You might actually become, this is the other workaholic placement, you might become so obsessed with making money and rising up the corporate ladder and your ambition that you could become married literally to your job. Your mistress is your job. Success becomes your mistress. Achieving your goals inside your job become the single most important thing, and you're frothing at the mouth trying to make your sales goals or acquiring the next company or whatever your job is. It's like it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until you no longer can even do it, until you have a total breakdown. You could really get obsessed with your work with this. This is another workaholic. It's not in a slave way though, like the sixth house. It's more like the commander, and you could be too dominant. You could be a boss that nobody wants to work for, or reverse. You could attract the boss that is too dominant and is the bully and expects too much of you. I kind of see, do you guys have Apple TV? I see sort of the morning show. That show, it is so good. As Pluto in the 10th. It's obsessed with power, obsessed with ratings. It's how a news station operates behind the scene, and it has Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon in it. And it's just the obsessive compulsive minute by minute, what are our ratings? What are people tweeting? What are people saying about me? How am I perceived? How am I looked? They're sitting there, disheveled fighting, and then the cameras roll 3, 2, 1. And it's like, hi, how are you? We are the morning show. And it's just, oh my God, it is like at all costs. And the job completely rapes the individuals of their soul. And so this is when your career or your calling has great misfortune in it. Now, the great misfortune might be extra power, extra ambition, but at the end of the day, you say to yourself, is it even worth it? There are big lessons around this, I'm telling you. Now, you have to evaluate, are you doing someone else's dream? Are you being a workaholic? Are you being ambitious? Are you doing all this energy, suck for somebody else? For the approval of other people? Are you sort of having to be, Michael Jackson performing one concert after another until it kills yourself because you've got to perform for that audience? This is also a placement where you're probably neglecting your family. This placement can really have you lose in life. The 10th house, when it goes wrong, it wants, it craves, it desires the things that are really not that important after you leave the earth. So it can be quite a materialistic house, and it can be hungry for likes, for popularity, for fame, for status, when that's not really what matters, right? Really having a paradigm shift around pouring yourself into what genuinely serves you and others. And if you get success and fame and fortune as a byproduct for doing your calling, then great, but not attaching to the success, the fame and the fortune, but attaching to the calling. Does that make sense? You can really struggle. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to look at the ruler of your 10th house. You probably are an Aries rising, but if you have Capricorn in the 10th, you might have Sagittarius. Jupiter or Saturn is probably going to be your ruler of the 10th house, probably. If you have a planet there, right there on the cusp of the 10th house, then that is a co-ruler, and that's a really big deal too. I want to know where that ruler is in your chart. So if it's Jupiter or Saturn, where is it in your chart? And is it in hard aspect to this Pluto degree? Okay, that's asking you to do a lot. Now, I want to tell you, if it's in hard aspect, there's a chance that there's going to be something very difficult coming to you around your calling. If you guys don't know a damn thing that I just said, I want you to know your chart rulers. So there's two things you can do. You can buy my Astro Gold Advanced Package, and you'll find that in the shop tab. You'll get your progress chart, but you'll also get your chart rulers and the rulers of each house. And that is so important. And you have to study the rulers. You need to know the ruler of each house. It is critical. Or you can just go to soulnavigation.com and click on Learn Astrology and take my class. And I show you how to find your rulers and why your rulers are so important. And if you just want to buy my unique rulers chart, you can do that too. It's called Unique Rulers Report. That report is so good, but I want you to know the ruler of your 10th house and what is it doing. And if it's in positive aspect to this Pluto, well, then you're probably going to have constructive changes that are going to bring about really good things. It doesn't mean that you won't struggle. It just means that it might be easier to navigate. And so this is a big placement. Okay, moving on to the 11th. Okay, so if you have Pluto transiting your 11th house, there's going to be quite a few things that are going to be wanting to change. One, this is the house of higher intelligence and technology. So you might see that the technology in your life needs a vast change. You might need to learn how to use it. If you don't know how to use an iPhone, you might need to learn how to use it. You might be building a website. You might be putting yourself online. You might be moving your job from in the office to virtual. So there's a technology upgrade, but it's painful because it's probably a learning curve or something new. The second thing is your friendships are going to shift and alter and change. And you are probably going to see that some of your friendships are really not good for you and quite toxic. The groups and the organizations that you belong to, that could be a school, that could be a dance academy, anything, the Chamber of Commerce, I don't know, whatever groups, AA, maybe you sit in a men's group or a counseling group, you will see that you probably are going to outgrow this and you're going to want more freedom, and they're going to want to keep you in the tribe, and you are going to want to leave. Maybe this is even your family. This could be your family, or this could be a clique or a group of friends that you have that you've outgrown. They're too immature for you. They just are not kind, or they just don't fit into your world anymore. The other thing I want to tell you is with Pluto here, you may create a revolution. You may pick up a cause and really fight for it. I want to tell you to be careful because this could bring a lot of conflict into your life, and this could be, quite frankly, dangerous. Now, I'm not saying it's not worth it, but let's say you want to be the person who cleans up the ocean and you go on the paddleboard and you pick up plastic in the ocean. I want you to be careful. I want you to be careful who you affiliate with, and I want you to be careful with how you execute the tasks in a positive way. This is a time when you can really upgrade your future, your hopes, dreams, wishes. I just see that as your future self. This is an investment in the now, getting rid of the friends, the groups, the organizations, your old school ways to upgrade your life, to create a revolution inside of you. Now think about a revolution. That's not easy. You're leaving one country to go and build and conquer another country, but that's all happening inside of you. What are you trying to upgrade? And are your friendship groups and are the organizations that you're affiliated with even healthy for you? And my other thing is are you a problem to that group? Are you the problem inside the friendship circle? And if you are, change it. Be a better friend. Be a better leader inside the organization. Maybe you can fix the organization, and this is a time for you to take your power and fix that broken organization. Or also the secrets, Pandora's box might open up about this group or this organization. It's a lot like the 9th house. And the 9th house and the 11th house are the best friends in the zodiac. So it's kind of like, do these groups and organizations even hold a belief system that you can still believe in? And do they execute their bylaws in a way that you like? Is there betrayal and secrecy that you didn't know about? Is there secret stuff going on? What if you belong to the Catholic Church and now all of a sudden you just learned all these secret things that happen inside the Catholic Church, right? Ooh, do you want to be affiliated with it? I'm not saying all Catholics are bad or the church is bad. I'm just saying that we know that the Catholic Church has been plagued with problems, and this is a time when you might discover secrets around a beloved organization that you gave your heart to, and it's very, very painful. I want to ask you to really think about, are you with groups that serve you, friends that serve you, and are they helping you build a better future for yourself? This is about eliminating the things in your life that hold you back from the freedoms also that you want to experience in your life. You're going to see that you want to be more free than you are. So what has you shackled? What has you pinned down to old school. Just think of the computer and the technology, but now that's also, somebody's running old school on you. And so what do you want to break free from? Okay, Pluto in the 12th house by transit can be very, very, very difficult. You probably have Aquarius rising, but you could also have Capricorn rising. This is very deep, and I want to tell you that it could be very likely that you have to go deep within. You may feel like your world has crashed down on you and you have to recover and recuperate and hibernate, and you could even be institutionalized, hospitalized. You could be jailed at this time. You might experience jail of some sort. Now, jail could be metaphoric too. You could also have a victim complex right now where you are the victim of something. Now, whether that's true or not true, I can't tell you, but you will probably feel like it's true, even if it's not true. Your perception is your truth, right? This is a time when you're really supposed to face yourself, and you need to be very brave and very bold to handle a 12th house Pluto transit, and I want you to know what's coming up after that, a first house Pluto transit. So anybody who's got Pluto in the 12th house is then going to have to deal with Pluto in the first house. And I think that that is massively difficult. And so if you are diagnosed with a illness, a mental illness or a physical illness right now, take it very seriously. I want you to know you'll be okay, but it's going to require you to go deep within yourself and get very, very honest. You can feel so overwhelmed with Pluto in the 12th house by transit that you feel spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally exhausted and flatlined. It feels sort of like a death of some sort and a rebirth, a spiritual rebirth. When you go onto that journey into the soul, you even have a soul retrieval, or you reclaim a part of yourself from your past and integrate it into your present self. This is probably going to be a time when you cleanse yourself. So a lot of toxic, hard baggage from the past will come up. You may even feel like a victim of that baggage. And this is a time for you to take inventory and sort through to understand God's higher purpose for you. And for you to, instead of seeing all things having gone wrong, how you can right the wrongs, not in a sinister way, but how you can forgive your enemies, how you can surrender to those difficult things that have happened to you and turn them into something good in your life. Find some goodness to restore your faith in yourself, your life, in humanity, and in your enemies. This is a really, really important time for you to dive into your spiritual self so you can create stronger connections to spirit, because developing a faith inside of all of the loss you must feel at this time is really what it's about. Restoring your faith, developing your faith, fortifying your faith, and you can develop, like when Pluto transits the 4th house and the 8th house, you can develop a connection to the mystical parts of life, to the magic. And there's a very potent magic that can happen with Pluto in the 12th if you can harness it, and if you can push aside the obsession or the addiction to the loss and to the hurt and to the pain and to the suffering. And if you can turn those sufferings into golden nuggets, silver linings, and restore your faith, what happens is you become the magician, you become the great manifester, and you can become the guru. You can become the wise one. You can become the person who others seek as an oracle in a way. It's very, very deep. This is a very prominent placement for Pluto. I want you to look to the ruler of this house and see what it's doing with this Pluto. And that's why I want you guys to know your chart rulers. That's why we don't do sun sign astrology. This isn't about you being a Leo. Is Jupiter or Saturn the ruler to this house? And go and see if this ruler is in happy aspect to this transiting Pluto. And if so, this is like one of the most spiritually profound times of your life. Now you can get lost in the dark abyss. This transit can feel like you were just dropped down into a well, and you're down in the well going, help, I can see you, but help me out. And you can't climb up the slippery sides of the well. You can feel like that. But I'm telling you, with this placement, you can transcend pain. You can transcend suffering. You can transcend the most severe loss. This is sort of the metaphor for the person who has to have their leg amputated, and they become even a greater person with one less leg. Now, that's not me. I don't even know if I could do that. I hope I could, but it's that person. That's what this transit is. And so this is very deep. This is sort of the reincarnation of your own self in one lifetime. But you have to get out of your our wounds, and you have to really be able to stand in true forgiveness, altruism. Altruism is, I love you without condition, right? And so this is a tough placement because this is big work. This is big, magical, mystical, metaphorical work. Okay, you guys, trust me about the solar return report, even if you don't know how good it's going to be. I cannot recommend it enough. In the solar return package, you get your solar return report and you get the solar return chart too for your birthday. I also want to thank you for being a super supporter, a member of this channel, and for supporting Soul Navigation. I absolutely love this community. Thank you. I hope you've enjoyed my whole entire Pluto playlist. If you're just meeting me right now, oh my God, go binge watch everything on this channel and binge watch my Pluto playlist. There's so much powerful, powerful information on Pluto, and I just absolutely love you and I adore you from my home in Seattle to wherever you live in the world. I wish you the very, very best. Thanks for being here, and like and subscribe, please. Take good care. Bye.